All right, we are 1 minute past, so I think we will go ahead and get started. I'm Julie Curtis. I'm Vice President of Growth and Strategy at Pressbooks, and we are really excited for today's show and tell webinar about our new shared network administrative features. And so thank you all for joining us. I also want to I'm joined today by John McLeod, who is our head of sales and account management, and then also the ever popular Steele Wagstaff. One of the things that we will be communicating about this week is a role shift for Steele. And so Steele has been our intrepid product manager for over 5 years. As he came back from sabbatical, he is coming back in a new role as customer experience lead. And so he will be focusing on the kind of holistic view of customer happiness and encompassing customer success, onboarding, and how we build and support our customer community. So we will share an announcement about that later this week with our customers. So you'll be able to see a little bit more about that. But please congratulate Steele. We're really excited about this new role that he will be doing at Pressbooks. And so he is here with all of that history of expertise, as well as in this new customer experience lead role today. So with that in mind, I'm going to just quickly go through the agenda. So we will begin with a poll here in a minute, just to share a little bit more about your context coming into this show and tell session. And then we'll hear from Steele about what are Pressbooks shared networks and the new administrative features. We have a deep dive show and tell. We've invited a couple of our institutional partners to assist in that, so we'll be able to look at that together. And then John will talk about getting started and how to get these new features if you're interested in them. So with that, I'd love to have everybody take just a minute and do a Menti poll. Tell us what type of organization you represent and how you access Pressbooks. So kind of your own network, in a shared network, individual subscription, those kinds of things. I know we have a range of experiences here on the call. And we can look at our results. So we've got a good mix, it looks like, of folks that are here with systems and consortia, as well as others who are here representing individual colleges and universities. So we're glad to have you here. And let's see, we've got a little bit more. Rah-rah for community colleges. Excellent. Glad to have you here as well represented. And then go ahead and also answer the second question of how you access Pressbooks. So if you have your institution's own network that is not part of a shared system, let us know. If you're here as part of a shared network, it looks like most of you here are coming to us in that capacity. I know that there was certainly a mix in terms of the registration list. So good picture of institution types, organization types, and then also, again, thank you for sharing with us where you're coming into Pressbooks and how you're exploring it. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slide deck, and I'm going to hand it off actually to Steele at this point.
Thank you, Julie. So the subject of the meeting today is to talk about Pressbooks shared networks. And that's a little bit of terminology that's probably familiar to most of you since you come from shared network context, but I'll just provide it in case you're watching the recording or this isn't terminology that's familiar. So the idea of a Pressbooks shared network is essentially a Pressbooks network that was built for systems and consortia in mind, where you have a single Pressbooks network that's used by multiple institutions. The idea is that the shared network would give you a central digital publishing infrastructure across many member institutions. It makes it easy to do all the things that you come to know that Pressbooks can do, which is create, find, adapt, share open learning materials through the publishing platform and the catalog and other features. It also allows you in that kind of consortial setting to have people from many institutions collaborating easily inside the same kind of like user base or the same set of books. And it also helps a lot of times the system or the state or the province or the consortia will have some shared priorities for publishing. They may operate a grant program or other kinds of funding mechanisms together. And having a shared network can really help you advance your system or the consortial level priorities. Over on the right-hand side, you see 3 screenshots of examples of kind of well-known system or consortial Pressbooks networks. Open OCO from Oklahoma, Viva from the Virtual Library of Virginia is shared across the state of Virginia, and then Open Oregon, that's where I live and Julie lives, so we got to put Open Oregon on the slides. The differences between a Pressbooks shared network and a Pressbooks enterprise network are kind of listed on this slide, and many of them are things that I discussed earlier, but the idea is that a single institution enterprise network is used by a single institution. A shared network is Pressbooks for many institutions on the same network. When you have a single institution network, it's branded to that institution. The consortial network is typically branded to the consortia or the system. The single institution network, again, has a catalog just for their single institution books, whereas the consortial network will have a common catalog shared by all members, but then you also have the ability to filter or facet by institution so that each institution can have its own view of just their books or just books that they've participated in. Again, the other big difference is who controls the kind of administrative settings and preferences for a network. When you're a single institution enterprise network, you make all the choices. When you're in that shared network, the central consortia system makes those choices that then can be overridden at the book level. Who administers and manages the network can look a little bit different, and that will be a big subject of what we're discussing today. In the single institution situation, we typically will give up to 3 people the network administrator power, which gives you the ability to administer books and users and make choices about homepage and settings. In a shared network, you can have up to 5 people with that role. And there's also this new role, which we'll be showing, which is an institutional manager. And it's pretty exciting and gives you a lot more flexibility there. Then the number of books that you get on the plan will vary. Usually in the single enterprise network, it starts as low as 10 and raise to whatever you need. In a shared network, it typically starts at 45 and can rise to whatever is needed by the shared network or by the member schools. And we also include kind of a ballpark. The average number of users will often be smaller in the case of a single institution and can get much larger in the case of a shared network. So why are we talking about this and why did we focus on this? Well, as we started talking with our clients, we realized that many of them, an increasing number, were starting to think about collaborating at a system and consortia level, especially as their educational publishing programs matured, or in some cases where they said, hey, we're trying to serve a really large administrative region here, and our institutions have different levels of support. We have some schools that don't have a large budget and are very small and are just getting started, others that are at different levels of maturity. It makes more sense for us either financially or administratively to operate under kind of a shared umbrella. As we did that, we started to see those clients were using essentially something that had been built for single enterprise clients to try to administer this growing consortial network. And so we, over the last several months, have talked with almost all of these shared network clients to understand what are the biggest pain points, what are the needs that you have with your Pressbooks network and administration burdens that we can make easier. And one of the top things we heard was those network managers and the people at the institution level, they really wanted more visibility, more reporting, more information, more usage analytics across their network. If you have 5 different institutions sharing a network, who's doing what and how do you keep track of it? And if you work at one of those institutions, how do you know what's happening at your institution versus the whole system? In order to do that, and part of that problem was, if you are a central network manager, you have the ability to administer the whole network. Well, in the case of a shared network, you also have these institutions that are sharing. And in those cases, if you work for the institution and not the central consortia, you probably only want to be able to administer users and books that belong to your institution. And the central network wants to be able to share and delegate those responsibilities appropriately so that somebody from the University of Manitoba isn't administering someone from the University of Winnipeg's book or vice versa. When you're in that consortial setting and your usage grows, it's a good problem to have, but you want people to share the labor with. You want to make collaboration easier. You want to make distribution of responsibilities easier. And so we wanted to really empower the individual institutional members to more easily manage and monitor and support how they're using Pressbooks. And those are the big motivations and the reasons why we started developing these features. So the features, I'll just briefly mention them, and then we'll go into a show and tell so you can actually see them in a real network. The first thing it allows you to do is, as a network manager, you can create as many institutions as you like. You can then assign books and users to those member institutions. We've created a new institutional manager role, which allows you to administer users and books, but at the institutional level. And it allows people at both the network level and the institution level to more easily monitor usage and view analytics. And at this point, I also want to say a big thank you to eCampus Ontario, a very large consortium institution that's been using Pressbooks for a long time, for both helping us design, support, and funding of some of this early development. So thank you. They were great partners and really helped a lot in the development of these features. So what will this do for you? If you are at a central system or consortia, it's going to provide visibility into usage across institutions. It lets you securely delegate responsibilities to member institutions. It really will, we think, help save time and effort. And it's worth really restating this. This is a really common thing that we hear from people who are administering large, successful shared networks. They feel like a bottleneck where they have thousands of users from all these different institutions, many of whom they don't know because they don't work at those campuses. And they say, I feel like I'm holding people up, I'm slowing them down, and I don't really know how to help support them or what they need. And another benefit is it will help the institutions, help the central consortia to have their member institutions become more familiar with how to use Pressbooks and how it might satisfy their goals, sometimes even goals that the central consortia isn't aware of. For member institutions, the benefits are pretty similar. It gives you the power for the first time to administer your community users and books without having to have full level network powers. It lets you track and report on Pressbooks usage for your institution. That's the first time that would be possible in a shared setting. And really what we've been hearing is that there are people that are ready and willing, but they don't know they don't understand really how to support their creators and users because they can't see what they're doing or who's doing what or where they're doing it. So it really makes it easier for you to understand how you can provide support where support is needed, and will save you time and effort in figuring out what they need, where they need it, and how to get the permissions needed to provide it. So those are the big benefits that we see, and you'll tell us what you think as you see the features and start using them. But at this point, what I want to do is move into the show and tell, and I've invited Dondina Gordon from Campus Manitoba to be the first kind of show and tell person. Dondina will be showing what this looks like from the role of a shared network manager for the consortia. Dondina, if you're there and you're able to log in, would you be willing to share your screen? Okay, so Dondina has logged in to a shared staging network that we've set up in advance for her to demo these features. And this is the first time I think you're seeing this, Dondina, is that right?
It is.
Okay. So on the left-hand side, you'll see that your network manager menu is slightly different. There's a new tab there just underneath users. Yes, this is new. This is a tool to manage institutions. And if you click that first icon there, yeah, that's great. You will see your institution list. And what we've done is we've pre-populated this with a couple of sample institutions. So you can imagine you're in a consortia. The first institution listed there is University College of the North, which is actually a real institution in Dondina's consortia. And you can see for this institution, we've associated it with a couple of email domains. The reason why we do that is when an institution has an email domain associated, that means anytime a new user is created with that email domain, they'll be automatically assigned to that institution to make it easier to keep track of. You'll then see a column which tells you whether that member institution has bought in to the network or not. You can have institutions that buy in, you can have institutions that don't buy in and just use the shared pool of books and users. You can see that we've assigned one institutional manager, and this is a fake person, but that's their username and their email address. That's who the institutional manager is for University College of the North. And then you'll see the number of books and users this institution is using. In this case, Dondina, how many books does it look like University College of the North is using?
It looks like they're using 44.
And how many do they have on their plan?
Unlimited.
There you go. Okay, good. You succeeded on task number one, and you can see they have 2 users. And then you'll see a couple other examples of schools that don't have buy-in, but do have institutional managers. and schools that don't have buy-in or institutional managers. You can also see the example with High Desert College of a school that has a fixed book limit. At the bottom, there's a table that kind of explains a high-level overview. So if you scroll down a little bit, this can be a little bit confusing to interpret initially, but I want you to kind of tell me what you think you're seeing here, Dondina, if you give it your best shot.
Well, it looks like unassigned books and users aren't associated with a specific institution.
Yeah, exactly. So you have 26 books that haven't been assigned to any institution, and you have 17 users that don't have an institutional assignment.
Right.
And down below, the shared network totals, this will be either books that have been unassigned or books that are assigned to institutions that haven't bought in.
Okay.
So in this case, you'll see 26 unassigned, and then we have Evergreen and Theoretical Polytechnic, which have not bought in.
Right.
Those sum to 11, so we should expect to see 26 plus 11, and I think my math is right. I think we see 37 there.
Right.
And then premium member totals will be the total number of books that have been assigned to institutions that have bought in. And in this case, it's University College of the North and High Desert College. So we'd expect that to be 44 plus 19, and that is 63. And then the sum, all network, is going to be the shared network plus the premium member totals. And so at a glance, it'll help you see kind of how things are distributed by types of institutions. We want you to create a new institution. So I want you to add a new institution here. And for the purpose of this exercise, the institution I want you to add is called Weber State University, W-E-B-E-R. And for the email domain, we'll just use weber.edu. Great. And then you can just click Add Institution. If you go back to the institution list, you'll see, hey, there's now a Weber State University. If you want, let's go ahead and add another one, and let's add somebody from campus Manitoba so you get the feeling of doing that for, you could do Winnipeg or Manitoba or wherever you like. This allows you to add multiple email addresses, like if you had faculty and students that use different email domains or different email patterns, you could add as many as you need. But in this case, let's just keep it simple. Great.
Okay.
Okay, so you've added the institution. If you go back to the institution list, we'll see behind the scenes, I just made a small change that says, okay, Weber State, they have purchase buy-in and they have a 10-book limit. So if you go to Weber State now, the other thing I want you to do is add an institutional manager. You can have up to 3. In this case, I want you to start typing Allen, A-L-L-E-N. Great, this is Misty. She's going to be demoing the institutional manager. So you've just assigned Misty to be an institutional manager for your institution, and you can go ahead and click Save Changes. Any questions so far, or things that you...
Nope, this is perfect.
Okay, so now Dondina has now added 2 new institutions, and she's also assigned her first institutional manager. The next thing that you may want to do from time to time, Dondina, is actually assign users and books to institutions. So now that we've made Weber State, let's assign them some books. So on the left-hand side under institutions,
Assign books.
let's do users first. I'm sorry, I did it in the
Okay,
wrong order.
no worries.
So here you can see right now a list of all of the users, their username, if they have a name, their email address, and their institution. Let's start with just people who are unassigned for now. If you click the unassigned link, that will show you just the people who are unassigned. Now let's select these 4 users. These are all people that Misty knows really well, I'm sure. And we're going to assign them to Weber State. Great, those users are updated. And if you scroll down, you can see there's 4 people that have been assigned to Weber State. Let's also change, you know that user 6, institution 2, we misapplied them. We said that they're at Theoretical Polytechnic, but they're actually at Manitoba. I think, was that the institution you created?
Yes.
So if you go to you can do that set institution thing, and let's move them to the University of Manitoba. I want to make sure that all of the people from institution 4 were assigned to Evergreen University. So in the search bar in the top right, can you just search for institution 4? This would be kind of like if you were searching for an email domain or something in real life, but they all use the same email domain, so it's not going to be as effective in our demo example. So here you found, okay, here's the 4 people from institution 4. What institution are they assigned to?
Evergreen.
Okay, great. So that's good. I don't have to make any changes. So this is how you can use that assign users feature. Any questions about assigning users to institutions?
Not for me.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dondina. And would you go now to assign books?
Hmm.
All right, and this is a very similar, okay, great. There's 100 books, so there's quite a lot more. Let's just go to the unassigned ones. Now, over on the right-hand side, you'll see title, institution, and then you'll see a list of book administrators. In this case, these first 3 books all look like their main user is from Theoretical Polytechnic.
Right.
Let's pick the first 3 and let's assign them to Theoretical Polytechnic. Great, let's go back to unassigned and let's pick all the rest and give all the rest to, so at the top, if you click unassigned. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Let's assign all the rest to Weber State so that Misty has some stuff to look at when she's doing her part of the demo.
But there's still, those look like they're Theoretical Polytech. Okay.
Those users are from there, but we can still assign them to Weber State.
Okay.
So thank you for noting that that would be confusing in real life if the user belonged to one, but the book belonged to the other. But in this case, we'll break ours. So now everything in your network's been assigned. Your job is done, Donina. You've assigned all the users and books. Thank you. The last thing that I want to look at is the stats page for you on the left-hand side. On stats, you're going to be able to see a whole list of users over time, books over time, user revisions, and etc. All of these features have a download CSV option. And when you download the CSV, there will now be a column that tells you institution as well. So you'll be able to filter and use this information by institution. The place where it's probably most valuable is in the network stats one at the very top, the page view and download data. This is going to show you a list of all of the web page views and download information for all the books on your network. If you'd be willing to download this CSV, I'm not sure if you'll be able to share that screen, but go ahead and download that CSV at the top. You don't have to enter dates. We'll just do the
Okay.
and then do you have if this opens up and you're able to share your Excel screen?
Yep. I'll just pop it over to the other screen.
Awesome, thanks. So this would be an example of what you would see from your page view downloads. We don't actually have a lot of page views because of the demo network that people aren't using. But on the left-hand column, it's the title of the book, the URL of the book. The third column is the dashboard where you can see this detailed drill down yourself, page views, downloads, etc. And then that column P is the institution column. So you can filter this just by a single institution and see whose books are most popular at High Desert College. You could see Theoretical Polytechnic, they're just not getting a lot of downloads. Maybe I want to talk with them about, are they making the downloads available or do they even need the exports? So these are some of the tools that you now have as a network manager. The last thing, if you close the Excel file and go back to overall network book list by clicking the books link, there will be a new filter tool. The final tab on the right up at the top says institution. Yeah, that one right there. So now if you wanted to see only the books that belong to a given institution, there's a new column here that shows you institution and you can filter. So let's say I want to see all the Weber State books. Yeah. You can apply the filter. And then if you wanted, you could download this as a CSV list, and it's a list of all the books that belong to Weber State with a whole bunch of information about them. How many H5P activities they have, how many users they have, the word count, whether they've made exports, etc. So this lets you drill down at the level of an institution or multiple institutions if you selected multiple. The same thing's possible from users. So if you just show us users real briefly on the left-hand side, you'll see there's an institution tab there, and you can filter users by institution as well if you like. There you go.
Beautiful.
Tell you when they've logged in. Any questions, Dandina, about how you might use this as a network manager at a consortial Pressbooks network?
No, I think this is really cool.
Awesome. That was what we were hoping to hear. Thanks so much. You were great at presenting, and the only errors I think we made were mine. So yeah, okay. Thanks, Dandina. If you're willing to stop screen sharing, what I'm going to do now is we'll now show you the perspective of the person that Dandina has added to administer an institution. So we're now on this large fake shared network, and Weber State is an institution that shares that network. So I've asked Misty Allen to be the institutional manager for Weber State. So Misty, if you're willing to share your screen.
Okay, I'm logged in.
Awesome, thanks. Great. But it's giving you a welcome message here, and it's telling you Weber State University has 23 books and 5 users. And there's really three basic things that you can do as an institutional manager. You can view books and administer them, you can view users and administer them, and you can explore stats. Which one do you want to start with, Misty?
I'm good with starting at the top, so view the book list.
Great. Let's go ahead and view the book list. And so this would be what you would see for Weber State. If you remember, it will look very familiar. It will look a lot like what Dondina just showed, except if you look at that institution column, it will only be the books that belong to Weber State. So Misty can't administer books from Theoretical Polytechnic Institute or the University College of the North. And at the top, it'll tell you there are 23 books that are owned by Weber State, how much storage they use. And you have all of these filtering tools, administration tools, and sorting and downloading tools. In the case of aerodynamics and aircraft performance, one of your users has emailed you and says, I can't figure out how to change my theme. Can you help me? And so Misty, could you go to the dashboard of that book? And then can you help them change their theme? It's the third link down in that on their dashboard there underneath edit book info or appearance. You probably know many ways to do it. Yeah.
I'm totally bad at this though. It always takes me a minute to find stuff.
So you're there. Go ahead and just click themes. You don't need to click theme options. Just click themes. Yeah. And let's make it Adunis. They want the Adunis theme. So make it simple. Just the one next to it. And you can click activate. So Misty, you've now just helped the user administer their book without having to ask the central network manager for help. And without having to do too many clicks. They said, oh, thank you, Misty. That was all I needed. Now I'm ready to publish. And at least you're feeling happy. Now, if you go back to the top left where it says administer institution in that dashboard up there, let's click on users next. All right, so here it tells you you have 5 users that have been assigned, and here's who they are and information about them. User 5, institution 1, emailed you, Misty, and said, I forgot my password. Can you help me reset my password? You say, sure, I'll help you. You go ahead and click edit for this user. And when you scroll down, you'll see there's a little password reset URL. Let's go ahead and send them the reset link. Ta-da, you've emailed them this support question. And then if you go back to the user list.
Do I need to click the update user if I had to do that for someone?
In this case, you didn't actually change anything, you just triggered the link. So that's a great question, but no, yeah.
Fantastic.
So the next thing that you wanted to know was, it looks like user 2 institution belongs to 10 books. Can you click the info button beneath their name and figure out what books they're in and what they're doing? Oh, okay. They were created, if you go to the very top, it'll tell you when their account was created. Okay, so it was just created a month ago. We don't know when they last logged in because this is a fake user, but they belong to 10 books and they've never made any edits or revisions. If this were a real user, you'd see real information. And then it would tell you the books that they're in, what role they have, how many revisions they've made, and when they last revised that book. So hopefully this is a lot more information than you have now about what's happening at Weber State and what users are doing. Do you have any questions about how to use that book list or the user list to administer books at your institution so far, Misty?
No, that's pretty user-friendly right there.
Awesome. Now, if you'd click on the stats, let's explore stats last of all. So this will also look familiar if you saw the network manager list, but what's showing you is only information relevant to Weber State. So if you were to download the CSV, it would be just the subset of books that belong to Weber State. If you look at users over time, this is how many Weber State users. There are 5 people that we've added, and you saw us add them today. You can see there's 20-something books that have been assigned to Weber State, and that's how many books you have. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a few other things that might be helpful. One on the right-hand side will tell you the most cloned books. So when your books start getting cloned or copied elsewhere, you can see it. There'll be a chart that tells you, oh, this book has been cloned 5 times. Maybe there's something interesting in that, and we might want to contact the people who cloned the book to tell them we have a new edition coming out, or we'd like to collaborate on a new edition, or what have you. So that is kind of what an institutional manager can do. You're like, we sometimes say you're like a little demigod inside of this shared network where you can administer users, you can administer books, you can view the statistics, but really for your institution. And you don't have to worry about anything that's not your institution. I'll pause there and take any questions from Misty or anybody that's attending. Okay, there's a question from Jeff that says, can institutional managers create and assign a user with any domain to their institution? Great question. So institutional managers can create and add users however they like. whatever the email domain is of those users will trigger the automatic assignment of users. If they don't get caught by those rules, the network manager could then assign them or have to assign them. The institutional manager can't choose who they get assigned to, because doing that would mean sometimes overriding the rules that belong to other schools. So you can add as many users as you want, and if they don't get assigned to your institution, then you would talk to the network manager and they would review the unassigned users and say, oh, okay, you added 4 people with Gmail accounts and they were added by Misty. I'm going to add them to Weber State, or leave them unassigned, or whatever the network manager wants to do. So there's the automatic assignation that happens, and then there is the manual process that network managers would do occasionally. And on that question, Jeff, this would be the follow-up question would be, so Misty, let's say you've added 4 people with Weber State domains. The next time that they create or clone a book, it will be assigned to Weber State because they belong to Weber State. So when a new book is created, the book will automatically be owned by the institution that the person creating it belonged to. It can be changed later, but we're going to inherit the user's institution to decide who the book belongs to when they make a book or clone a book.
Still in the Q&A area,
Yeah.
Ed, I have a question. Can institutional managers create books if book creation is restricted?
Yes, I believe so. Institutional managers have the ability to, they act sort of like demigods, as I was saying. So institutional managers should be able to create books even if regular end users are not able to. Thank you, Misty. You can stop sharing your screen. I really appreciate Don, Dana, and Misty being demo people, going in blind, not seeing things ahead of time. I think I want to pass it over to Julie for another little Menti quiz.
Okay, second quick Menti poll. So of all of the things that you saw, which feature are you most interested in? What gets you most excited? It's a multiple choice, so you don't have to, come up with it on your own. And then we'd love just a quick why. Why is it you're excited about that? So I'm going to click into the poll results. Okay, so folks interested in the institutional manager role, folks interested in analytics, being able to assign books to institutions. That's cool. Good to see that there's stuff that's piquing your interest, and we hope that you will find some good use out of these things. So in the interest of time, why don't we go ahead and hand things off to John?
Great, thank you. I am going to just share a little information about who is eligible for the shared network feature, our shared network plugin, and just what that additional cost would be. So in terms of our different shared network types, we have Pressbooks Shared Network Unlimited plans. So for the central system and consortium, the shared network plugin is going to be included. There's no additional cost if you're on an unlimited plan. We have a number of networks where the shared network is unlimited publishing for all institutions across the network. So for those system consortium members, that's also included, no additional cost for the shared network access. For a shared network that's on a tiered plan, where you have buy-ins on the network, for the central system, the shared network plugin will add $6,000 a year, but we'll waive that cost if your network has at least 2 premium member buy-ins. So if you're 2 or greater, we'll waive that additional cost on the shared network. For the system or consortium members, we'll include that with a premier member buy-in, so you get that institutional seats, institutional manager, up to 3 seats, and you can add an institutional manager seat if you don't have a premium buy-in and the shared network is active on your network. You can add that institutional manager seat for $1,000 per year per institution. Just a little bit more, if you're not sure what a premium member buy-in is, it's a package that augments network administration and publishing privileges for a consortium or system. So the buy-in pricing is articulated in the parent organization's agreement with Pressbooks. There's information. If you're not sure about that, please reach out to us at sales and we can go over who is eligible and what the buy-in terms are on your agreement. But what's included is that you can publish additional books, whether it's a set number or unlimited number of books on that network. You will have up to 3 institutional managers that can handle user and book administration for their institution. You will get access to that reporting and analytics, which nice to see that people are very interested in that for the users, books, and the usage across the network. Well, sorry, for your institution across the network. And you also get premium support for institutional managers. So I've heard from a number of clients that they're very interested in just being able to share that support burden across their large networks and having access to our premium support representatives. And you also, with a premium member buy-in, can integrate your LMS using our LTI 1.3 integration. And the availability of the shared network plugin. So we're going to have it available in June 2024. As you saw on our shared network, we still are testing it and ironing out the last few bugs. We've got a couple of shared network managers who have been working with our tech team to go through and make sure that it's acting as expected. So very close to finalizing that. And if your question is, can I choose when to implement? Yes, please contact your account manager or reach out to premium support about the shared network plugin. And we can activate it on your network and we can get started setting things up for your institutions. So we deliver this via a plugin. The Pressbooks support team will activate the plugin and help get started with it, and they will provide training and any documentation that's needed. And if you want to learn more, please reach out to your account manager directly, whether that's myself, Darren, or Sandra, or you can reach us at sales@pressbooks.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So with the shared network, you can activate the plugin, you can create institutions, you can associate users and books with those institutions and invite users if needed and designate them as institutional managers. The institutional manager can administer and support books and users for their institution and monitor analytics and the usage data available through our analytics tools. Let me just find the chat. If there's any questions, any comments, feel free to come off chat if you have a question. Okay, so Jeff asks, will the LTI integration menu be available on the institutional manager screen, or will that only be available for setup by the network manager? So that is set up at the at the network manager level. So institutional managers don't have access to the network features, so that will still need to be set up by the network manager, but our support team can work with you to maybe temporarily promote an institutional manager to a network manager to get that LTI set up, but they'll be working with you to get that LTI set up.
I just asked whether, Jeff, you had a preference for that. I think the way that we had designed it, the central networks told us they wanted to be responsible for the LTI connections, but if it needs to be delegated out to the institution managers, we could probably change that at a future date, depending on what people expect or want or need. If you have a preference, let us know and we can share that with the people who are collecting the user research on it. It would be nice to do at the institutional level. Got it. Thanks.
Okay, great. Yeah, great to hear. Yeah, we'll just double check here. I don't see any more questions, but if you do have any more, you can contact Pressbooks support to get the plugin or ask any questions about the way that this will work and who will get access. But please reach out again to your account manager or to sales@pressbooks.com if you want to add this to your network and want to go over what kind of plan you're on or your institution's on, and how you can get access to the shared network plugin.
Thank you, John. I think we can go ahead and end the recording now, and we can stay on for just a minute longer if anybody else has questions or comments that they want to share. So thank you everybody for coming, and we appreciate your time. We look forward to getting these new features into everybody's hands and seeing what you do with it.